If I asked you what the most powerful force in personal finance is, there's a good chance you'd answer with two words: compound interest. We've all heard the famous advice: start early, be patient, let your money work for you. And while none of that is wrong, it leaves out something incredibly important. Because compounding doesn't begin inside your investment account. It begins long before you ever buy your first stock. That's the part almost nobody talks about. Most people think compounding is a financial formula. In reality, it's a pattern that shows up in your money, your career, your habits, your relationships, and even your confidence. Once you see that pattern, you'll never look at investing the same way again. Imagine two people graduating from college at exactly the same time. They both get similar jobs. They both earn roughly the same salary, and they both decide to invest $300 every month. At first, they're almost identical. But after a few years, something starts to change. One of them spends an hour every evening learning new skills. They become better at solving problems. They ask for promotions. They switch companies when better opportunities appear. Their income grows steadily. The other keeps doing the same thing every year. Neither decision seems dramatic. No overnight success. No lottery ticket. No viral business. Just small choices repeated over and over. Fast forward 15 years. One person is investing 3 times more every month than the other. Not because they found a magical investment, because they became more valuable. Their income compounded before their portfolio ever did. That's the hidden version of compounding. Most people wait for their investments to grow. Very few realize they're supposed to grow first. Let's make that idea practical. Suppose you invest $5,000 and earn an average annual return of 8%. After 1 year, you've earned about $400. That's encouraging, but it probably doesn't change your life. Now imagine you spend that same year developing a skill that increases your salary by $8,000. Even if you invest only half of that raise, your future investment returns become dramatically larger. The stock market didn't create that opportunity. Your own growth did. That's why focusing only on investment returns can be misleading when you're just getting started. The biggest return during the early years often comes from yourself. Think about the way people usually approach investing. They spend hours searching for the perfect stock. They compare funds. They worry about whether one investment will return 9% instead of 8%. Meanwhile, they ignore the possibility of increasing their earning power by 20%. Which one is likely to make the bigger difference over the next decade? For most people, it's not the investment. It's the person making the investment. Compounding isn't just about money multiplying. It's about capacity multiplying. Here's another way to picture it. Imagine trying to fill a bucket using a tiny cup. Every trip adds a little water. You keep walking back and forth. Progress feels painfully slow. Now imagine someone hands you a much larger bucket and a bigger cup. You're making the same journey. You're putting in the same effort. But every trip accomplishes more. Your financial life works the same way. Your investments become more powerful when your ability to contribute grows. That's why the first stage of wealth building often feels frustrating. The account balance barely moves. Your monthly contributions seem small. The gains don't look impressive. You begin wondering whether investing is even worth it. But that feeling is completely normal. Every large portfolio once looked tiny. Every experienced investor once wondered if they were making any progress. The difference is that they kept going. Compounding rewards consistency long before it rewards size. One of the biggest mistakes people make is expecting dramatic progress too soon. We're surrounded by stories of overnight millionaires. Someone launches a startup. Someone buys a cryptocurrency before it explodes. Someone becomes an internet celebrity. Those stories spread because they're unusual. Quiet progress rarely becomes a headline. Yet quiet progress builds most fortunes. Imagine planting an oak tree. The first year doesn't look impressive. Neither does the second. Even after several years, it still seems small compared to the giant trees surrounding it. But underground, the roots keep expanding. The strength is developing before the height becomes obvious. Investing works much the same way. The early years build the foundation. The later years reveal it. That's why patience is so valuable. Patience isn't about doing nothing. It's about continuing to do the right things, even when the results haven't become visible yet. There's another misunderstanding that keeps people stuck. Many believe compounding only exists inside financial markets. Look closer, and you'll see it everywhere. Read 10 pages every day. 1 week doesn't change much. 1 year changes what you know. Exercise 3 times a week. 1 workout doesn't transform your health. Hundreds of workouts do. Save a little every month. 1 deposit feels insignificant. Years of deposits create opportunities that didn't exist before. Small actions repeated consistently produce outcomes that seem impossible when viewed from the beginning. That's the real nature of compounding. It isn't exciting at first. It's repetitive. It's predictable. And because it's predictable, many people underestimate it. Human psychology prefers dramatic moments. We want instant rewards. We enjoy quick wins. Waiting is uncomfortable. That's why people often abandon good financial habits just before they become meaningful. Imagine pushing a heavy flywheel. The first push barely moves it. The second feels almost the same. After dozens of pushes, momentum begins to build. Eventually, the wheel keeps spinning with much less effort. Most people quit after the 5th push. The people who succeed keep pushing until momentum takes over. Money follows a similar pattern. The first $1,000 is usually the hardest. The first $10,000 requires discipline. Beyond that, every milestone becomes slightly easier because your existing assets begin contributing to your progress. Eventually, your investments start generating gains that rival your annual savings. That moment feels magical. It isn't. It's the natural consequence of hundreds of ordinary decisions made over many years. But compounding has another side that deserves attention. Bad habits compound too. A small monthly payment becomes years of unnecessary spending. Ignoring your health reduces your energy. Putting off learning new skills limits future opportunities. Lifestyle inflation quietly consumes every raise. Tiny decisions rarely stay tiny forever. They accumulate. That's why financial success isn't usually determined by one brilliant move. It's determined by the direction of thousands of ordinary choices. Every day you're either building momentum or slowing it down. You may not notice the difference immediately, but your future certainly will.